All right, episode 40, the big 40. How are you recession-proofing your business? Are you going through your expenses and cutting out the fat? What are the best lead sources that will continue to help you grow during a recession? We're going to talk about that now, or maybe movie reviews next.
Yes, sure. Welcome to the only real estate podcast worth listening to, with your hosts Nick Good, Matt Kelderman, and Brian Force. Combined, they have 26 years of experience and have sold over 1,500 homes. Join them each week as they bring you everything you need to know about real estate. And now, here are your hosts, Nick, Matt, and Brian.
All right, episode 40. It's going to be awesome. You should, if you're not tuning in now, you're missing out. Because we're going to talk about, we are talking about recession-proofing your business.
We're struggling with that one.
Yeah, I can't even talk today. Or we're going to talk about movie reviews.
If you're not tuning in now,
Oh, good job.
This is perfect.
Echo.
If you guys could understand what we're dealing with right now, the fact that you're getting feedback from the phone is terrific.
The non-sensory that's happening here.
Episode 30 was kind of a off-the-wheels show, and I think episode 40 is going to be the same way.
Gonna be right along with it.
If you're watching this, I mean, you're in for a real treat. But before we get to that, if you're struggling to work with more sellers, maybe you're having problems with converting those sellers when you're running that appointment. Maybe they're telling you no. Maybe they're wanting to beat you up on your commission. Maybe they're just hiring a different agent. So if you're struggling with that, go to our free webinar on how we take 10 plus listings every single month. All you need to do is go to touracademy.com/take10 TEN and go sign up, and then go sign up for Tour Academy. It's $1.
$1. Let's start with this one. I think about this probably once a week still. And I think it's sort of an indication of how far we've come technologically, because I don't think it would fly in this day and age. But back then when it came out, people they didn't have a problem with it at all. And nowadays I think that we're so heavily dependent on technology, you could never make this happen again. The fact that Jeff Goldblum can just pull out his fucking laptop and hack into an alien mothership in Independence Day and just disable the fucking shields or whatever it is the most bananas thing I think I've ever seen in the history of the silver screen. I tried to airdrop something from my Mac to my phone like 2 days ago. I was like, nope, it's broken. And I couldn't figure it out. And I'm not saying, and I'm pretty technologically advanced, but I think my stuff breaks all the time. I'm just saying there's no fucking way that is the same it just doesn't make, Derek, I don't even need to explain this, why this is so ridiculous. But back in 96, everybody was like, this is a great movie. Did you see when he hacked into this? Like, I wouldn't even have thought to do that. And he was like, that Goldblum, he's smart. He's just a smart flannel shirt wearing dude. It's just, without him, it's ridiculous, Derek. I think about that all the time.
Here's the thing then that makes it a great movie, because you've thought about it a lot.
Their marketing works.
Because I'm going to tell you right now that I have not thought about Independence Day.
And when I do, I think about Will Smith punching that alien dead in his face, not Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
That part made up for it.
And then I thought about the second one,
that could happen.
The remake that came out, and he wasn't even in it.
Probably because they figured out he's a fraud.
Yeah. So, as you can tell, we're going movie reviews today, not how to recession-proof your business. But if we were to talk about recession-proofing your business, what does that look like and feel like for you guys? Because I'm going to tell you why I'm bringing this up today, right? And if Austin's watching, my brother, he just got back from a wealth conference, and he's like, we're selling everything.
I love this.
Right? He's like, everything's going. And I'm like, dude, what did you learn at this conference? Maybe we should have been there. And he said that we're going to be in a recession by early to mid 2020, so next year.
Was Jeff Goldblum there?
I think he hacked in.
That guy's got so much spaceship hacking wealth. He doesn't even need. He's got his own conference.
I'm sure he teleported in on that one. Exactly. He's in and out. But he was talking about with the inverted yield curve and we just can't keep going the direction we're going with the debt and I'm like, dude, I don't think so. I disagree.
Well, I mean, obviously, your brother's operating at a much higher level than I think our target audience, and has different. That sounded so mean.
Yeah.
Wow, that was like the meanest thing I've ever said. No, I've done no offense to our target audience.
Pew pew.
You have a development company with $80 million in assets under management. Is what I meant to say, not like our audience sucks. No, no. I mean, dude, here's the thing. When we talk about recession-proofing your business, I guess my question would be, why aren't you always recession-proofing your business, right? Because when we talk about something like that, we talk about it's like something that sneaks up on us, and all of a sudden we have to make all these changes. Like when we talk about recession-proofing, we talk about cutting inflated expenses. We talk about being lean on stuff like that, running a lean, mean machine. Generating more business from our sphere, right, which is where most of our deals are going to come from, getting more affluent with the different types of real estate sales, meaning being able to work with investors at a high level and things like that. I guess my question is like, I got to read a comment in a second. My question is, why aren't we always doing that, right? And so when I think we have the recession-proofing conversation, my wife says that is, in fact, not the meanest thing you've ever said, right? That's definitely true. No, I mean, we'll talk about what recession-proofing means, but I want to preface it with, when we're having this conversation, have it in the context that this is good advice in all market conditions, right?
Well, yes, we should be always going through on a monthly basis and redlining out things that aren't working and stuff like that. But
right.
Let's be honest. Do you do that?
I mean,
on a consistent basis.
You should have looked at Matt when you said that. I actually do it.
Yeah, I know this dude.
I don't know that I make a ton of changes that I should be.
Okay, so that's the thing. That's where making the changes.
I looked at our P&L this morning and I was like,
right.
So yeah, we do review it. I review it twice monthly on a serious basis, and we do actually make changes. It's true. I mean, that's one of the reasons we got rid of dialers. That's a really good hard example of ways that I'm like, here's our conversion rates, here's our pickup rates, here's how much dialers cost us. Gone.
Yep.
Like, so we will make pretty swift changes.
Right.
But I think that you focus more on it when you think that you're heading into the lower part of a business cycle. I think that the average agent needs to focus more on it regardless, because that is one of the biggest downfalls, I think, of the real estate agent versus the real estate professional or real estate business owner, is they don't know where their money is coming from or going, and it's white noise.
And with that, there's probably you probably got something on an auto monthly subscription basis that if you truly go and analyze it, like I've got something at $50 a month right now, and it's, another podcaster's coaching thing that I just never canceled.
Thought it was going to be a website.
No.
It is a website.
No.
Coaching.
Well, it is
Yeah.
a website. It is. But there's really no.
Derek's laughing back there.
That's not $50 a month.
That seems like a lot. There's too much free stuff out
I
there now.
wouldn't know,
Yeah.
guys.
I'm only going off what Derek tells me. So,
What's that episode?
I'm getting thrown under the
what's
bus
that
on
opening
this show
scene?
on
It's
a
because
weekly
just this
basis. At
headless
this point.
voice that
What's
floats in.
that opening? The opening
No
scene of
accountability.
Superbad, where he's like, maybe like do like Perfect 10, like something that sounds like maybe that could be about anything.
back to movie reviews.
Anyway,
So with that, it's that I've never cut, and we're going to cut that out, right?
Yeah. Right.
But I feel that a lot of times, and Brian, I think you came in right as the recession was technically ending. Was it 012? You were getting at 012. 012.
012.
012.
yeah, we were definitely in recovery mode.
Yeah. So I found that during the recession in 08 and all the way up, that people were cutting out their marketing expenses.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that part's wrong. Wouldn't you want to double down on that?
I think that's bananas. Yeah.
On marketing that will also work and help you take market share. Because when the recession hits, right, here's what happens. You've got listings that start to pile up, they don't sell, right? You've got, agents that are not making money, so they're starting to
That's
reduce
what it is.
they're reducing their spend on their marketing, whether on the house, whether they're not doing professional photos, they're not, doing they're spending their ads, they're maybe not doing as much to sell that property by calling potential buyers, et cetera, right? Maybe from a showing service, like, I know centralized showing service just sold to showing
Showing
time.
time.
Yep.
But I know agents that have cut that out.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, every time I see an agent, like, text agent for combo box, I'm like, you cheap son of a...
So stupid.
Or maybe an agent puts it on the combo box rather than on a Supra, right? And you start seeing a lot of that
Yep.
stuff.
You do. I think that we talk about what to cut. We also need to keep the other side in context as well. Like, what most people cut out is their license during a recession. So if you can hang
up.
tough, right? Like, there's houses are still going to sell during a recession. You're going to have less competition too, right? So I don't know that there's you do need to lean out. I think that if you are running a team and you're salary heavy, or you have a lot of inflated expenses that you're not getting a return on investment, you do really need to take a hard look at your P&L. I think as an average as an individual agent, you need to freaking hustle up, like toughen up. Like, it is just easy to sell houses when the market is seller heavy, or I should say like a seller's market or whatever, because usually buyers get buyer crazy too. And like, when you've got to go out there and really knock 300 doors a week or something like that to get listings and stuff, like, that's tough, man. It's really tough. But you know what? It's going to make the next good business cycle, or good part of the business cycle, a lot easier for you. So I don't believe so much in leaning out your business to the point where you're like, cutting marketing expenses. I think is insane, right? Like, you need to double down on the parts of your business that actually have a return on investment. You also need to get out there and just do the activities at a high level.
Well, and at the same time, you could probably cut a little bit of your marketing expenses on, let's say that,
Dude, shiny objects.
yes, or even on Facebook. Let's go down the Facebook rabbit hole, right?
And make no mistake, Facebook for most people is a shiny object.
Yes.
Because Facebook has a like minimum 12-month turn time for us.
Right.
And most agents won't nurture people for that
and they're
long.
putting their marketing in those lead sources,
Yeah.
rather than going down the path of, all right, let me do it into more client events. Let me put it into my
Yeah.
let me go with a physical hard mail out to my sphere,
Yeah.
with a newsletter concept that is attraction based marketing that
Yep.
is actually going to prompt a response.
Let me go set 25 coffee dates for this month.
Yeah.
Right?
Right?
I think you hit on your second point. It's a lot of just agents are running on razor thin margins when the market's good.
Yep.
And then it turns, and all of a sudden the first thing that goes, or in marketing's typically the biggest expense, because as an agent, it's the thing that you probably have the most control over.
Yeah.
So if you're doing it right, it should be a big chunk of the money you spend.
100%.
And so it's an easy place just to steal money back initially, until you feel the pinch of that business 90 or 120 days.
Yeah, now
and
nothing's coming in
Now
'cause you cut
nothing's
your
coming in,
marketing.
you're done. So
Yeah. So
Marty McFly looks just like the kid from his parents' high school. Do they not realize that?
it does.
They're just getting peppered in
At
there.
the end of the movie, when he comes back, are they not like, holy shit, our son looks just like that kid from high school that we knew?
Or it's just that event was so insignificant in the grand scheme of things, they don't even remember his ass.
Bananas. He's wearing the same clothes and everything.
Movie reviews on the force.
Anyway.
But yeah, so even when the times are hot, when they're great, we're seeing that you talked about running on razor thin margins. We also believe that it will last forever.
Sure.
I was talking to an agent yesterday who, their first year in the business, they sold a decent amount and thought it was going to continue going. People get cocky, and then all of a sudden it doesn't keep going, but then they keep doing the same thing and stick to it, and then all of a sudden they start running out of money, and then they start reaching out for help, right? And then they come to you and they're like, I want to join the Her group, but I have 3 weeks left of money.
Have I 3 weeks left to live? I was like,
Have I ever told you guys my 2015 to 2016 real estate financial transition?
I'd love to hear that.
March through May of 2015, I made like $125,000. It was amazing. Then I sat by the pool for June, July, and August and didn't do anything. Guess what else I didn't do? I didn't pay taxes on any of that money because I was a big dumbass who had never done anything. That was like when you talk about stupid stuff that real estate agents do the first time they have a really great month or a really great year, that's the real reality of what a lot of agents aren't willing to be honest about. Like, I had an unreal 3-month run and absolutely almost imploded my financial life for all eternity because I made too much money and had no idea what to do. And then conversely, not only did I make poor financial decisions with the large amount of money that came in, I then in turn, like, my business cratered for almost 18 months and I had to go back on the real estate roller coaster. And it took me easily 15 months to figure out like any kind of consistency. I went 6 months without closing a deal. Like, it was just.
That's like winning a scratch-off lotto ticket and you quit the next day. You win 100,000. You quit. Fucking, I'm out.
I'm done, bro.
Fuck
I
you
was
guys.
done.
You're cool.
I'm gone. Hit some dude with a hamburger bun and
Yeah.
walk out the door.
Yeah.
It was an absolute S show. And I mean, again, I think that's an extreme example of it in typical Matt fashion. But I do think that there are a lot of agents who have a really good run. We run into it all the time when we're talking to agents about joining the team. You know, we're exaggerating the amount of deals we're doing. So we're not being really honest about it with ourselves about how we need to adjust. And then secondarily, like when we're telling other people, instead of being honest about where we could get some help, we're blowing up our numbers. And your 5 deals was probably 3, and it probably was over 4 months, not over 2 months. You know, and your business isn't really as revved up as you think it is, and we're just ultimately kind of dishonest with ourselves.
I remember hearing a story about how when Mark Wahlberg signed his first Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch record deal, it was for $100,000, and he went out and bought $100,000 Mercedes. And I never really put 2 and 2 together, but like as soon as I had the exact amount of money that my first Mercedes cost in my bank account, I went and bought it immediately. Like that was right after my first year in real estate, and I was like, the money's going to come forever, no matter what. Let me go buy this depreciating asset with exactly how much money I have. So stupid. Like the silly stuff that we do, man. It's hilarious.
How much money did you make from that car, though?
It wasn't like a S63 or anything.
I mean, how many listings did you get, and how many buyers did you impress because of that car?
I got more from my Porsche.
So there was still more decisions to come.
I knew where we were going with that one.
This guy walked right into that.
So I mean, when we talk about cutting those, it's you've got to really look. I mean, and we're going through right now and seeing, all right, we're going to analyze our marketing. So on our investment company side, I know, this will pertain to real estate anyway. From our investment company side, we're cutting out the postcard marketing.
There's a ton of paper mail with that, though, right?
Yeah, and it can work.
Sure.
Right, but our focus is not in that direction anymore. So we're cutting that out because when we looked at the return off of that, we actually just broke even, right? From the property we bought because of the postcards and the cost of it, we just broke even.
Yeah.
And that's a waste of freaking time.
Yep.
Right? That's a waste of energy or the stress of what if it doesn't sell and going through that shit.
Yeah.
So it's just, learning what has a better ROI and then focusing in on that. Right? So if it's your sphere, how can you extract more from it? And especially when we go into a recession, you got to also understand that your sphere is not going to give you as much business as it did during the great times.
Right.
Yeah.
Because what happens during the great times, people are like, oh, I have more equity in my house. My friend's talking about selling, boom, boom, boom. Right? The recession starts coming. We go into this. We want to, retain as much as we can. And so their fear is, all right, what if I lose my job?
Yep.
Yeah.
Here's what I think you've done really well, though, when we talk about recession-proofing your business in your sphere specifically. Those client events that you put on, that's exactly what it's doing. If the sphere is going to produce less for you, how do I touch more of the sphere to make sure that I can offset the diminishing amount of people by touching more people, right?
I think that's huge because I would argue that we squeeze such a small amount of the juice out of our sphere as it is. We are really, I know that we are not working our sphere at a high enough level. I would venture to say the average agent is probably getting 20% of the available business, if that, out of their sphere. Even in a recession, you can get more business out of your sphere if you're working at a high level.
Well, even like here's the thing, I'm telling you, we're not even calling our sphere, right? So recession starts hitting on that, and this truly, if Austin was right, like here's the thing with the recession, you start predicting, you're like the weatherman. Eventually the recession's coming, right? Eventually someone's going to be right on that.
Yeah.
And so it's like, all right, now guess what? I'm going to start picking up that damn phone. I'm going to call them. Right, I'm going to be, because if you're not feeling it right now, so if you're not taking enough listings, you're not feeling it. So if you're not taking enough listings, go to touracademy.com/take10 TEN, because you'll start really feeling how this market's going to pinch you, right? Because I am now talking to more and more people who are either delinquent and behind on their mortgage or already in foreclosure.
I mean, we probably already took this listing by now. We were with a gentleman just yesterday, exact same situation, and I hadn't seen that type of stuff in a while. And he needs to sell his house now in a big way, real fast.
And if you're listening in a different market, then you probably had some type of the similar run up of property taxes, home values increasing, and now their property taxes or taxes are eating away, at their disposable income. We're seeing it because they can't afford the increase in property taxes.
Yeah.
Right. It's now priced them out of their own home. They start falling behind. They were trying to stay afloat on it, and then they start letting that go. So, you start also identifying different lead sources during that time that you can start targeting and going after to start picking up that business.
Yep.
So, as we get, once we get more into that, we can talk about that on another podcast.
This is a good time to have Espinoza back on, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm sure she's seeing some stuff
Starting to become
pretty
a lot more
dramatically,
relevant.
especially as her business has expanded.
Well, I do know with Nicole Espinoza, you can go. She dropped in on and the only real estate group worth being a part of. She just released her, is it the ebook or whatever?
The ebook, yeah.
Her ebook, Short Sales Uncensored, for 99 cents.
Yeah, which is ridiculous because that's probably, talk about that. You can go to the Tour Academy and sign up for her classes too, man. That stuff's pretty
You
awesome.
go sign up for that and sign up for $1.
$1.
So go
Here's-
sign up.
Here's the other thing too that I want to say to the agents who hear like Nick and Brian talking about like just double down on the phones or whatever. Like the reality is your database is part of helping you recession-proof your business.
We're not talking about just circle prospecting all
Yeah.
day. Like, if you're not talking to your sphere, and when I say your sphere, I don't mean the people closest in the world to you. I mean the people that you're afraid to call.
How about just call everybody in your cell phone? How about just do that?
I
And
challenged
don't worry
the
about
team
it.
to do this yesterday, and at our team meeting, somebody brought this up, and then I kind of extended the challenge. I was like, "What if you just texted? It's November." But then Becca chimed in. She was like, I don't want you to mention that it's November in your text message. Act like you would do this at any time. What if you just texted 5 people a day for the entire month and told them how grateful you were for them?
Yeah.
Like, do you not think you'd have some serious conversations there? Like, we did that to each other a few weeks ago.
Yep.
And I felt like we had great conversations around it, right?
And I wanted to send you some business.
Yeah.
I know. Nick was like, forget this.
But no, I mean, I'm talking about digging deep and talking to the people you don't normally talk to. Your sphere is bigger than you think it is.
Well, but you and use that and be intentional right now, right? It's okay to be intentional with trying to get business out of it, right?
Sure.
There is this negative thing around it, and even I have this mindset with I'm not going to call my sphere to ask them for business, right? But at the same time, if they don't do business with me, like I have a friend who just bought a new building and they didn't use me, they used a different real estate agent. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Right. So I would love to post their name out here on this, but I'm not
Still
because
be friends.
yeah, because I mean I grew up with this guy.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, did I do something wrong? Did I not show enough value? Was there something I could have done better? Right. So with that, we all get pretty upset when your sphere they don't use you.
Right.
But you're also not reaching out. And
Yeah, but if you weren't the
That's
last
the
one
thing.
to reach out, it's like, it's on you.
So if you send those texts out, go ahead and find a cheap way, a low cost way. So I know we're all doing this. So this was what I gave on the tour Monday
Mastermind.
Yeah.
with the holiday photo shoot.
Yes.
So you're doing yours the 23rd
Yes.
of November. I'm doing mine sometime after that.
Okay.
Whatever my people tell me. But we're bringing in Santa.
Yep.
Right? Santa's going to cost me $275.
Okay.
And we're doing the holiday photos. And I was like, all right, do I do a holiday or do I do Santa? And we did this little poll. And a lot of people that have to go wait in line at the mall.
Oh, you're in North Park?
Oh, it's
For that guy?
Oh, dude, you're doing it at North Park?
No, I'm just saying. No,
yeah.
right? Have you ever seen the line that gets up for?
It's ridiculous.
yeah.
And I don't even think he's really Santa.
I don't know.
He told me he is when I sat on his lap.
It was just last year.
Yeah, it was last week. I don't know.
So since this show is just kind of all over the place anyways, let's introduce that little part of the subject. Here's my thought process on this. Santa is religiously ambiguous at this point. Like, can we stop associating Santa? I used the word wrong, didn't I?
No, you're right. I'm
like-
just laughing at the idea that people do associate him with the
he's
religion.
he's 100% associated, and so people are like, they assume if they have Santa, all of a sudden it has to be Merry Christmas, and they can't say that. Like,
It's super
Nick,
weird, right?
Nick dances around Happy Holidays all the time. Like, if you have Santa at an event, it's an event for kids.
I'm going to set up a nativity scene in my house with the 3 wise men and Santa.
And Santa's just chilling there, right?
He's got
With
a
the
big
finely
old bag.
decorated.
But there's certain religions that don't. So I'm not even going to go down that.
No,
path.
I didn't say from a religious standpoint.
Yeah.
I just think you're safe. I want to say to all the agents out there, if you're going to do like this type of thing, I think you're safe having Santa there, right?
I
Like,
would
I think
think
it's cool
so.
for the kids. The families are going to appreciate it
Yeah.
because the reality is, I don't need another picture of my family in front of a hearth. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I want to go avoid the Santa line.
That's-
like
and
that's way
thing.
more attractive.
So that was the poll we did, right? And so
Yeah.
that's what we talked about. And so, we're squeezing it, that last event in. I think this is our 6th event we'll do this year.
Oh, nice.
And so this
awesome.
one's going to cost me $500.
Yeah.
Right, we're utilizing a space that's not costing us anything.
Yep.
Right, Santa's going to cost me $275, maybe $300 if I tip him $25. Right, I don't know how much he makes off of that $275.
I don't know if you have to tip.
Is there a Santa pimping racket I don't know about? I feel like all
Is
$275
is he not
his.
his own boss?
I don't know.
If there is please, Brian at brianforce.com, if you know the answer to the question, is there a pimp-like figure with a
Santa
stable
game.
of Santas? I just want to know about it. I don't know what I want to do with that information, but I really want to know if that's how it's done.
He like goes and sees them in September, and they've gotten too skinny. He's like, "You need to eat, bitch." It's almost Christmas.
Oh, I love it.
That's such a funny image in my head.
Ridiculous.
There's got to be an image on that.
They're always like trying to escape that life, but they don't. They don't have anywhere to
Just
go.
stuffing milk and cookies in his mouth.
So bad.
What just happened?
So it's going to
Billionaire
cost.
idea was at the end of this.
Yeah, we're mixing it all in today. It's all in. But there's some gold in this, actually. This is probably one of our most gold-plated episodes.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
The reality is, though, if you can do an event for $500 where you get to invite your entire database and they get something of tangible value like their holiday pictures done,
Well, and
dude,
here's the
don't
thing.
tell me you got to be a rich agent to do big events.
But think of it this way: our whole goal is to continue getting their information.
Yep.
So what we're going to do is not just a client event. We're going to open that up to a community event.
Yep.
We're going to tell those people to bring their people in. Bring your neighbors, bring your friends, bring your coworkers.
Yeah.
This is a place. It's free. You don't have to pay for it. We're gonna email you out the photos. Guess what? Now I got your. I'm gonna text it. I'm gonna email it to you. Now I got your information. Now I'm building my database even larger, so that when that recession does hit, now I'm sending them my videos. Right. I just talked to a guy today. Had lunch with him today. Big tech guy, and he's building out how he's built out BombBomb. Mm-hmm. He's using BombBomb as a CRM and killing with it from
Really?
a video concept, from how he's got it set up. I mean, I'm ready to sign up again for BombBomb. I did not use it the right way.
Really?
That is one piece of technology I've always
We have
way
it, and we
underutilized.
use it, but I don't know that we use it as a big enough at a big enough level or
Yeah,
high
I-
enough level.
I
I
certainly
know
do
there's
not.
way more potential to it.
So again, it's during this time, and while we're like, if you're listening to this right now, if we're not in the recession yet, you better start acting like we are and start also increasing your nurtures, your database.
Yep.
You better fill that data bank up so that you can continue to pull out withdrawals
Yep.
when shit hits the fan.
Yep.
I guess I'm trying to understand why. Because I think we can all agree at this point that Andy Dufresne didn't put that poster of Raquel Welch back up on his own. That would have been impossible, right?
I believe so.
I don't even know what movie this
It doesn't
is.
make any sense. It's Shawshank Redemption. Derek,
okay.
Derek, we're on the same page. You can't tunnel through the wall and then go back to put the poster up, right?
Somebody
I guess-
was in on it, man.
Yeah, my question would be why?
But I thought he lifted it up and it fell back down.
No. It was there the next morning because that's how they found out he escaped. Because the guard starts throwing pebbles at the poster.
Right, but wasn't
it
it still stuck and you just lifted the bottom piece and it wasn't all the way stuck on the wall, right?
It was. It looked normal. It looked good enough. But here's the thing: even if he did do it on his own, why would you do that? If you're escaping from the prison, why do you care if the poster is covering the hole?
Well, so you get
you're
more
Or
already-
delays the flight
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, but they already know he's not in his cell. They know he's escaped.
Yeah,
Sure.
but maybe escaped somewhere. Maybe he's just lost in the prison.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna follow him down the tube into the sewer that he had to crawl through. Like they're gonna start to look for him in other ways. They're not just gonna be like, I'm diving down this hole. Like it doesn't matter if they know he went through the hole in the wall. It seems such like he's like, I gotta leave this prison, but I want to keep my cell nice and neat. It's such a weird thing to obsess over. As soon as I get to that wall, I'm gone. I don't care what it looks like.
Just last week, there was 2 prisoners that tunneled up through the bathroom wall, real life, and got out that way.
How does that keep happening?
Unless the prison has a guard that just comes through at night just to check if people's posters are still on the wall, which seems like a real weird job detail. They tunnel through the ceiling?
Yep.
That's crazy.
Is it tunneling if you go through the ceiling?
Yeah, that feels like a different... I feel like tunneling comes in different forms. I feel like burrowing is down.
Yeah.
Like tunneling would be laterally, horizontally. And then like through the ceiling would be...
I'm watching the live viewers just drop off as we
No.
continue
I don't
this
know what that would be. It would be ill-advised is what it would be. I don't know why you would tunnel through the
No.
ceiling.
So-
they got away?
No, I think they got caught. I mean, they have their photos. Like, how do you?
Oh.
Like, you can't escape anymore. Like,
Yeah, that's
like-
It's so hard to escape from prison nowadays, let me tell you.
yeah.
I'm sitting this one out.
Talk to me about lead sources. So if we're going to double down on lead sources, we can go through the sphere and really wear that one out, right?
Right.
And I get worn out on like, oh, call your sphere, like we already know that shit. So
It's interact with your sphere. That's the big thing, right? And that's, I think there's an important distinction to make there too, is like, yeah, if the lead generation technique was just call your sphere all the time, like, dude, that would really burn me out too. And I'm not super great with my sphere, so I have tons of improvement to do on this. But like the real message is interact with your sphere. Don't just call your sphere all the time. Spend more time with people in your world, right? Work hard to develop stronger relationships. Like, do the coffee date thing. You were doing that for a while,
Yep.
and we're crushing it with it, right? You were talking to people that were in your world you hadn't talked to in years, right? Going on coffee dates, and like you basically had his EA in there emailing everybody, like, who's up for coffee this week? And there's like people were coming back.
Them out, and they were just like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Signing up for times.
And that's really what it is. It's not the same as calling expireds. It's really trying to strengthen your connections with people. And I think that's maybe the missing piece for a lot of people with their sphere.
Couldn't you, and I think about like in a recession, like we know all the free sources of business or whatever, right? Like we know open houses and are a good, easy, free source of business. I think open houses done at a high level, especially in a recession. And now I've not been a real estate agent in a recession. But I think from overall, if you're trying to ride out the recession and gather data, it seems like open houses be an amazing place to get new business, right?
Possibly. I mean, yeah. I'm just trying to think of more, modern times. So,
Sure.
So in 2008, we didn't have. I'm trying to remember Facebook. When did Facebook come out? Was that 2008? Was it around?
No.
Was it
No,
later?
I signed up in 2009. I was late to the game.
2006 or
I don't think they were running. There were Facebook ads back then.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
so
wasn't
we
what
didn't
it
have
is today.
So social media wasn't maybe as prompt, right? So, or in 10 and 11 it was. But when we go back to that time frame, versus now, you're going to start seeing, all right, do you go down and double down on your video marketing, right? Going in on YouTube. And start talking about, just yesterday alone, I was lead generating and called a buyer who registered on our website after watching one of my first time home buyer videos on YouTube. He was still watching it when I called.
Really?
And starting to see that pick up. So do you start having those conversations about what is it like just during the recession, down payment assistance programs or whatever. I'm trying to come up with something on the fly here of what people will be experiencing, having a video chat around it, so that you continue growing that online presence, so that those people that are ready to do something, sell and buy. Guess what? Divorces still happen now. Typically during recessions, that doesn't happen as often because they can't afford it. So people stay married even if they want to get divorced. But death still happens, so people sell because of that. Right, so there are certain lead sources and niches that you can go down to also increase, continue increasing your business or replace business that you lost that is no longer there because of the hot market.
100%. I mean, and then going back, does anyone remember the percentage of licenses that didn't renew when they came? It was,
I don't know, but there's a ton every quarter one. You can just go in and see remember, like, the battle is not as uphill as you think it is. When there's less agents in the marketplace,
like all of those things, there's room there. You know, your competition is going to get weeded out pretty quick.
And then your market share. So this is why, and this is where I struggle the most, right? So when I'm looking at it, like right now, we're doing our P&Ls. We've done 45% of our business this year has been buyer business, right? For us, that's high.
Really?
We're typically, you know, so far heavy. We're about 70-30 listings to buy.
Yeah.
Right? Right now we're 55% listing, 45% buyers. And so when I see when we talk recession, you take more listings, less of them sell. So you also are creating a little bit more stress on your people or your organization, because you're also unfortunately having to frustrate homeowners because you're talking them in like, hey, we can sell this house, and then it doesn't.
Yeah.
So you do lose a little bit of potential of that. So do you go down the buyer path and go, more focused on that? Or do you still stay the course because it leads listings leverage, right? And go put out as many listing signs as possible, which during the recession, I think I got up to 80 active listings at any given time, something like that.
Jeez.
But we were only selling, maybe half of that, not even half of that.
Yeah, but where did your buyer business come from?
So the buyer business came from sign calls.
Having a lot of signs.
Sign calls, Craigslist.
Yeah.
Actually, Craigslist, we were killing Craigslist during the recession.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
What's the more modernized?
Facebook.
Is it Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay. Because Craigslist is not going to work anymore.
It could.
Oh, I mean, it could. I'm just saying, like, that's not. They don't have the traffic that they used to.
Not the traffic, and they got rid of the clickable links.
That's right.
Right. So now you have to like either text or copy and paste, which people are lazy. They're not
Nobody's
going to
gonna
do
do
that. So what is that you can again replace your lost business, and so also we're coming up towards the end of the year. Are you having your business planning to determine what your 2020 lead sources is going to look like, so that you have your roadmap and your idea like, all right, I need to figure out how to get $20 million from expired listings, right? And the breakdown of how many, if you're going to go $20 million, how many listing appointments do you need to go on? How many actually you need to convert? How many need to sell? At whatever the average price point is, and then backtrack from there.
Well, and I think this is probably something you've learned since the last recession. If you're carrying 80 listings at a time, like a lot of that, you probably were taking listings that you knew going into it were unsellable, right? And like, I think what's changed, I know in Matt's business and mine, and the way that we talk with people is like, there's still going to be people that need to sell even during a recession. There's still going to be people that want to sell during a recession, right? And depending on your market, the effects of a recession are going to be vastly different depending on where you are and how your local economy is comprised. But if you are going into sales or listing appointments during a down market with the same attitude that you are when you're getting multiple offers on the first day on everything, you're going to be taking bad listings because you're setting bad expectations, right? Like what we're probably doing differently this time, if we do end up in a recession, we will take a lot of listings still because there will be a lot of expireds and we crush it with expireds. We will have very realistic conversations and take the ones that are going to sell.
Yes and no.
I mean,
no. Yes,
that's not across the board. Some of them just won't sell regardless.
Here's the problem.
But you could chalk a lot of that up to the agent's strength and ability to have those expectations with their sellers.
So having those realistic expectations and conversations is great. Now, how it's received on the client's end is a whole different story, right? They're going to be like, "Oh yeah, man, I completely understand," and then you list it, and then they're just a complete asshat. And again, it stresses it out. So there was a time when we were like, "All right, we're going to take this listing, knowing that we're going to have to." Pull their teeth out to do price adjustments and get them there, or that, hey, the same talk, be patient. Well, I'm tired of being patient. Like you said, you would sell this house. Like, yeah, I understand. We're also like, we're lucky to have showings right now.
The thing is about that too, though, is you're dealing with that on one side of the market or the other. The reason that one's particularly a sore spot for you is because you've always been probably a pretty heavy listing agent. In a seller's market, you have the exact same conversation with buyers. There's like, we're going 10 grand over list on every house. Why are we getting our ass kicked 5 times in a row before we can get under contract on this house, right? Like, I think it just depends on what segment of the market you're working with.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, and again, I've never worked with buyers in a recession. I've only worked with buyers in a busier market. So I think the conversation's probably going to change than one I haven't experienced before, but I'm certainly curious. I'm curious to see how it translates to the buyer having advantage as opposed to the seller having so much of an advantage in our market specifically.
So your discussion then comes into, because what happens is they have so much to choose from, they get overwhelmed,
Yep.
and then they start worrying, what if this house is not the right house? What if something else better comes on that they haven't seen yet? And so it's having that kind of talk of saying like, look, you really love this house, right? It's kind of pulling out their motivation and needs to get them to stay committed to this one, because tomorrow there could be a brand new house that's popping up, right?
Yeah.
Or let's say they make an offer on this and they want to lowball it. The seller comes down a little bit and your buyer's like, nope, I'm just going to keep looking until I find the best deal. And it's like, all right, what's the cost of happiness?
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, how long do you plan on staying in this house? Over 7 years, over 10 years? Yeah, most of the people are now staying in their houses, 9+ years. So if we're arguing over $10,000, like over a 9 to 10 year period, that is not very much money when it comes to the cost of happiness. And do you see yourself being happy in this house?
Yeah.
Right? Does this fit all the needs that you, your family, et cetera, is looking for? Right? Is this a great location? Right? Then
I think that's a big part. The conversations have to change, right? And then that's where you really need to get skilled up as an agent. We were advising one of our agents a little earlier today. I had a conversation with her, and a lady wants to buy a house in the same neighborhood, but she only has lived in her house for so long. And she was like, well, I was talking to so-and-so, and they're expecting, this much appreciation in this city over the next however long. And I was like, here's what you tell her, dude. Look, your appreciation isn't even offsetting your mortgage interest right now, because you just bought that house. You're paying way more interest than principal. Like, that appreciation is not making you any money yet, and it won't be for a while. Buy the house that you want to buy because you want to live in it. Like, if you like that other house on the other side of the neighborhood and that's what you really want, don't stay there for no reason. Go buy the other house. Like, that's, there's wealth building in single-family home ownership. Of course there is. Not usually in the first couple of years, right?
No.
And you buy a house because you want to live in the house that you love and are proud of. So do it, right?
And I think it probably used to be that way. We probably, as the media and real estate agents, are like, oh, you need to move and buy because that's how you're also going to continue building your net worth. And now we've got it in consumers, even when we're looking at buying, that's the only way we're going to get wealthy. And so they're looking at it from a wealth building standpoint versus this is going to be a home.
And that's the way the conversations probably need to change, right? And that's tough conversation for agents to have if they don't really understand, I think, the inner workings of the financial side of things. But, I mean, if you're looking at it from that perspective, the recession is the best time to buy a house because you're going to get the house you want. There's going to be more options. You're going to have less competition, and you'll get it at a lower price.
Mm-hmm. Or what? But, again, then you worry about, I can take you down so many rabbit holes on this, but how do you know when the bottom's there?
That's the way.
Because they're like, I don't want to make an offer yet because what if I can actually get this lower, in a month or lower in 2 weeks? Or,
I know. And that's where it comes the mindset of every day trader in America too, right? The reality is you should buy for long-term wealth regardless. If you're going to buy a house, you probably shouldn't move every 2 years, right? If you do care about the wealth building side of it. But yeah, if you're buying off of historical highs, then you're buying cheaper than it will be in the future. Because it will always historically appreciate at about 5% a year forever. There will be major recessions in between, but if you're buying lower than historical highs and holding on to it long enough, it will appreciate regardless.
So if it sounds like working with those types of buyers can be a beating, you probably want to take more listings.
You probably do.
So if you're struggling with taking more listings, conversions, getting beat up on commissions, go over to touracademy.com/take10, TEN, sign up for our webinar on how we take 10 plus listings every single month in our business. And then you'll be prompted to go sign up for our Tour Academy membership for $1.
$1 or some fraction of pesos. I don't know what the Derek, do you know what the exchange rate today is for pesos?
A couple of years ago, it was like 6.5.
A couple of years ago.
There you go. That's all I got for you,
That sounds legit. I'll go with that.
6.5.
So we're 6.5 pesos. What a slap in the face the movie Armageddon is to our armed forces and space program. You know what's weird? Is a Deep Impact came out the same year, and that has Morgan Freeman in it. It does, right? And I think it has Elijah Wood, too. But people think Armageddon is the best asteroid coming at Earth movie. And I think maybe that has something to do with Aerosmith.
Certainly does.
This gotta be.
It certainly does.
Ben Affleck, Bruce Williams, and Steven Tyler all in the same room. That's gonna produce magic, no
Especially
matter
in the
what.
90s.
Right? But the fact that they were just like, hey, we got this asteroid problem, and the only way to solve it is to train these guys who are drilling to do the drilling on the asteroid. We're just not going to take into consideration that it's a totally different environment, different soil. There's no air pressure. None of your equipment's going to work. We think it's probably easier to do that than to take people who are already familiar with, I don't know, being in space.
It was a simpler time, Brian.
And teaching them how to drill into it wouldn't, none of that would translate from drilling for oil. Like, the way that just insults the audience. So, like, you're fucking dumb enough to believe anything. That's why you're here at the movies. We're going to make the most illogical decision we possibly could. And this thing is going to get nominated for a couple Oscars. That's so...
Did it win any?
Oh, I hope not.
If it was nominated for anything, it had to win the soundtrack.
If I'm retroactively finding out right now that Armageddon won an Oscar, I'm going to tear down the walls of the studio. I'm just lose my mind, Derek. But again, back in the 90s, nobody gave a shit. They were just like, honestly, I think it could happen.
I think the common
I heard people say that to me. They're like, I think it could happen.
The CGI got really good in the 90s. We had never had anything like that. Like from Jurassic Park on, we were just lost in our own glory of being able to make things.
It wasn't even a real professional crew of oil drillers. Like, Ben Affleck was like a lazy dick the whole movie. And like the whole beginning of he didn't want to work hard.
Who died?
And, like,
Who died in that one?
Bruce Willis at
Bruce
the end.
Willis,
And
yeah.
he's like trying to shoot his own crew in the beginning and stuff. Like, it was a pretty they couldn't even find a professional group of oil drillers. It was like a C-class group of dudes who seemed very underfunded and not very well put. There was not, that company culture was toxic. And
Brian, this one will make you feel better. Bruce Willis from the Golden Raspberry Awards won Worst Actor for that movie.
oh, thank God.
That's nice.
Well, he deserved to die at the end.
But how much money did he make from that?
Derek, let me ask you an honest question. Who do you think made more money in total from the existence of the movie Armageddon, Bruce Willis or Steven Tyler?
Oh my God.
Steven Tyler.
Had to be Steven Tyler.
I have no idea.
I do like that song.
He probably had more rights to it.
Just like it when Ben Affleck's just doing the animal cracker scene with Liv Tyler.
Such a weird...
It's so dumb.
The whole movie's dumb, dude.
That's the most romantic scene in that movie is Ben Affleck stuffing food in his girlfriend's pants.
Your dad just tagged an IMDb link in the comments.
It was nominated in the Grammys for the best song written,
Okay, I can accept that.
but they didn't win.
Well, I don't know if it's the best song written.
You got me
but-
thinking, though, when you said Bruce Williams.
I just started thinking of NFL defensive linemen.
But
There you go.
so my son watches Toy Story a lot, right? And then they
Okay.
got these spin-off Toy Stories, like these little shorter Toy Story movies. And you know, Woody
Yeah.
in the movie, the voice sounds like Tom Hanks, and I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
would Tom Hanks do these?
Like the little shorts?
I'm like,
No.
how's he getting paid? So who do you think the voice is on that?
Who knows?
Bruce.
Gilbert Gottfried.
Nope.
It was
It sounds just like Tom Hanks.
shit.
I don't know who sounds like Tom Hanks.
He's got a brother.
He has a brother?
Sounds
Like
just
Ron Hanks?
whatever his name is. Sounds just like him,
Really?
and does all the voiceovers for him on those shorter.
What a sweet way to make some dough off your sibling.
That is awesome, dude. I really so hope there's like some D-list actor out there named Bruce Williams.
I got two sisters who need to step their shit up because I need a secondary job. So you guys go get famous so I can do your voiceover.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
two sisters.
Well, I don't know
Torque.
if we can get this thing any more off the rails. So
I thought
think
it was great, honestly.
It really was.
Look, we had some movie review. We wanted to bring the movie reviews in
I know.
for
We had
episode
some-
40.
We had some people hang tight with us. We appreciate
Yeah,
those
we
of
appreciate
you.
that, and hopefully that while you're going through the movie reviews, that our recession-proofing your business had some good nuggets in there.
At least made you laugh.
I think next week we'll do hottest lead gen sources and people we want to kill. Just interspersed. You know, we'll talk about that every 10 minutes.
Got that coming for you.
So that'll be fun.
I can't wait for next. Well, actually, I'll be back from I'm going to Key West for the Kinder Masterminds.
Nice.
Where the low income's like $1.5 million.
Heck yeah.
So maybe I'll have something good to share on that.
You like how Nick just kind of low key told us how much money he makes?
I know. I'll be going to Plano to drop my kid off at my mom's house.
Oh, I'm buying a whole bunch of golden guns, obviously.
I'm gonna go watch Christmas movies.
Nice. Derek, before Brian gets us arrested with many more of his ideas, get us out of here.